In this book is, remember how the first page said day 1 and then it goes up to day 5, and we told you to do their last 24 hours as an example on that blank page. We have now made day 1 down here, so then the last page will be day 5, and up here it'll say their last 24-hour recall. So you'll see these slots in here, so it'll be organized like that. And I think that's better for you because you'll start up here with the patient, they'll see it, and then they go through and fill out their 5 days on their own. And remember, this yellow book is extremely important for you to explain to them the directions of what they should be filling out. Otherwise, they can come back with a book and you might just see first day, breakfast, first meal, breakfast platter. So what's the breakfast platter? To them, that's what they ate, a breakfast platter. To us, we don't know what that is, right? So we then have to list separate. Was it pancakes? Was it how many? Did you put syrup on them? So you have to explain all this to them, that you want to see everything that they're adding onto it. Also, how it's cooked. Remember the ways that it's cooked? If it's cooked, then it's going to be soft. So it's not going to be karyostatic and it's not going to help stimulate saliva. If it's raw, then it will, right? Or if it's just steamed, remember, it's still like al dente, so it still would, and they would circle it in blue. And it makes all the difference in the world to what you're going to circle in blue versus red and different things. So that's what you want to explain to them, to put down how it's cooked and how much they have of it. They don't just want to put down a big piece of chicken. What if they had 2 pieces? You've got to explain all this to them. So it all depends on your communication with your patient, so that they come back and they have a wonderful book all filled out, and then you go through with them. And remember the minutes. Gets a little tricky there, I know, because they'll say to you all the time, I don't know how long it took me to drink my coffee and then eat my bagel. But you just tell them, you just guesstimate. You usually drink your coffee quick in like 5 minutes, or did it take you 15 and you sipped it? And you were adding a lot of sugar to it, so it's going to be in your mouth longer. So then the oral clearance will take longer. These are the things we're looking for, which is why we ask for time. So you don't have to make it an extreme big deal with them, like, I need to know. Is it exactly 10 minutes? Explain to them why, and then just guesstimate, okay? Following down the tan sheet, remember the front of the tan sheet? It's very easy. It's their name, their birth date, filling it out, any diseases, kind of like a medical history, but it's directly related for the dietary dental analysis. So you're explaining everything on there. And then, of course, you put it in your blue chart, that first visit. Same thing with the second visit. You'll put it in the chart. Second visit taking 10 more minutes, 30 minutes, because you're reviewing now their yellow book that they filled out with them. The yellow book, you're going to have them circle in red. Remember fermentable carbohydrates? I just gave you the sheet. I know you already have it, but I wanted you to have one more. This is a very, very important sheet that has many, many examples for you to refer to. Remember, it does not have everything on there. Those are all examples for you to relate to if you have a question. And then blue is the stimulating saliva foods, karyostatic foods that are hard and crunchy. And then you have them put an asterisk next to the acidic beverages. Remember, if it's coffee, if it's wine, things like that, you put the asterisk. Now, some things, remember, will be an asterisk and circled in what color? Red, right. So you just have to decide if they're adding things. If it's just black coffee, it would get an asterisk, right? And then if they're adding sugar to it, then it will be circled in red but have the asterisk. Then you go into the green sheet, which I know is all of your favorite. Our tallies. You enter their name, you're filling out the sheet, but you're entering in there the different tallies of the amount, and it says it right on here, very simple for you guys. The refined sugars and carogenic beverages, and it's a tally sheet. Remember, we want tallies. Some of you would give numbers and write 3 or 4. We need to see tallies, and then we count them up. And that information fills out the entire back of your sheet that you'll fill out, and then use those recommendations to write their white letter. So it's just going over here with the green sheet, calculating everything on the back, and everything is self-explanatory here. Remember, we already went over this, but it all deals with oral clearance. We even have on the front of the sheet with oral clearance. I can click through. I have to keep flipping back and forth. The green sheet's on here. Okay, I just want to show you. Do I have the front of the sheet? No. Yeah, the front of the sheet. Right down here, liquids are 30 minutes. And that's why when you get to the back of the sheet, and I'll flip it over in a second, solid and stickies are 45 and slow dissolving is 60. So you have to make sure you're putting the tallies in the correct category and for the correct day. And if it was in the meal or snack. Who remembers how many minutes makes it a snack versus part of the meal? Yep. 20 minutes. So you can look on your sheets for almost everything you need to know. You don't need to recall or remember all of it. So you're filling out the tallies by using that yellow book, and this is how you're doing it. Remember, this is like the candies or things, lemon drops, they sometimes stick in their mouth, or mints, they stick in the corner and suck on for a long period of time, and that causes a lot more damage. Let's flip to the back side of it. And this is the other side of the green sheet. So it even says it here for you that a liquid takes 30. So if they, on day 4, have 2 exposures to liquids, times it by 30, and you put your number here. Remember, this is totally separate. This is not a carryover of this column, right? You guys all got that straight after they were finally done at the end, and we reviewed them. The total minutes here. So for those liquids, the total minutes that they have down there. That's why it's important they fill out that yellow book column. And then you're going to add everything up over here. And then that's how you answer these questions. For total acid production, you divide it by 5 because it's 5 days that you're doing it, and you put the average here. So you're adding up the numbers of everything all together. And I know you already know this, but we just want to review it just to make it fresh in your mind, because you do need to do 2 of, sorry, I keep grabbing the microphone. You do need to do 2 of these this year. And they do prefer 1 this semester and 1 next semester, although it is hard, you know, to find a patient, and we understand that. But you want to start looking to hopefully get 1 done this semester, okay? The total number of fibrous foods, and remember that's on the sheet that you have in front of you. If you flip it over on the back, greater than 15 or less than 15 is acceptable. And then we wrote it on here again. So it's right here. Acceptable is at least 15 for 5 days of the blue circled charostatic foods. So is it acceptable? Yes or no? Patient's plaque index. You didn't know how to do that last time, right? Did you learn? Do they know how to do the plaque index now? Okay. So you know how to fill that out. And then is your patient's daily oral hygiene adequate? Yes or no? A lot of times for these dental dietary analysis, it's no. That's why you're doing it. I know for you guys, when you did it on yourself, it was yes, because you all do everything you're supposed to. What was the average number of acidic beverages? You're adding up the different asterisks and then dividing by 5. And I know you can't see, this cuts off, but remember the patient's proposed dietary changes, they have to be realistic. Okay? If a patient has a full upper denture and needs to stimulate saliva because they have a few roots exposed on the few teeth they have on the bottom, you're not going to recommend chewing gum. Okay? So we have to see something realistic, or you're not going to say, chew some raw broccoli to stimulate that. It's not going to help them as much with that denture or the gums. If they need more vitamins, more A or C, you can recommend liquids, remember, or different things that will actually help them, that don't have sugar in them. So you have to make these realistic. And when you write your white letters, you make it realistic, pertaining to the patient, and really thinking outside the box to what will help them, because that's why you're doing this, okay? I just want to switch to the letter. This is the white letter that you will send them. Remember, you'll mail it home. You'll fill this out on your own. You're not filling this out with the patient. So when the patient leaves, you're looking at everything and you're pulling it all together to see how you're going to write this patient that you're going to help them, besides everything you talked about in the 2 visits. So this is where I say always be realistic. Based on your 5-day diet history, your current pattern of caries promoting foods, and you're putting it here and you're checking off. And then you're relating it to each of these questions. On the following ways to reduce your risk of dental decay from a dietary standpoint. Based on our conversation, these are the foods that you want to help put into your diet to help reduce those acids in the plaque to interact and, you know, cause the caries. These foods you may want to consider eating less frequently. This is, you know, the patients that drink all the soda or do the things we talked about that put them at a high risk. But that you don't just want to say cut out your soda, remember? You want to slowly decrease it. So instead of 5 cans of soda a day, if you can cut back to maybe 2, that would be helpful. We don't want to scare them. We want them to be responsive. We want to motivate them. So we want to listen to what they want. If they come and they sit in your chair and they say, I'll listen to what you're going to tell me, but I'm not getting rid of my soda. It's my most favorite thing in the world. You don't just want to start with, oh my gosh, you're drinking this many, when you actually see their yellow book of soda. Remember, so you want to talk at their level. You want to make them comfortable, and you want them to make the changes. Remember, you want to talk to them and have them feel like they came up with the solutions to help them. And then encourage it. And then other non-dietary ways to help reduce your risk of decay. So if there's a lot of spaces and they say they're flossing all the time and you don't see it's helping as much, of course we still say to floss, but maybe a proxy brush, you know, might be extra to get in there, and you can go over that. I know you'll go over it in the visit, but then you also want to remind them. Because sometimes we hear you as patients, you know, in the chair, When you go home, you might forget a lot of things that are said, and this is a lot of information for a patient, but this is to help them. And then you fill out the bottom of it. When you were a patient, we review the best methods, and it goes over there on their letters. And these letters are also in the clinic. All of your forms that you need are in the clinic. The brown, the green, the white, and then remember your visit sheet that you should check off. If you want to succeed and get a passing grade, make sure you have everything filled out. Don't leave anything blank. And always double check it before you hand it in. You want it to be complete, and you want to be realistic with what you're recommending on there. That's a lot of times the problem that we see from students handing it in is what you're recommending for the patient is not realistic for that patient, for what they have going on as their problem, okay? I want to pass this out. You have in front of you, and you're going to use that to fill these out. I'm just going to keep one. There's extra probably. But it's a sample of a patient's one-day menu. And I want you to go through and circle in red and blue what you think should be red and blue, karyostatic or karyogenic. If you don't have red or blue on you right now, you can just put an R or a B, just so we have an idea that you know what stands for what. Remember, there are tricky items. Fermentable carbohydrates ferment in your mouth. They add with the plaque, they make acids in your mouth, they lower the pH, and that's what causes the caries, okay? So,
I just have a question.
go ahead.
So, I mean, when we did this in class last year, like, I mean, it took me a little bit of time to like tally everything up, like the green sheet and stuff. So we're doing that as we're sitting in the chair. Like, won't that be like a very long time of awkward silence?
The actual boxes of tallying?
Like the green sheet when we have to tally everything from the yellow book and then tally everything up.
No, I never assumed you were doing that in front of the patient. That's where you're going to write your white letter to them for. The front side of the green sheet you do with your patient.
But the other
That's
side,
just the tallies. No, that's all your math on the own.
Okay.
And that's where you're coming with your information that you're going to write them on the white sheet. I know it might be confusing because you had to do it all together because it was on yourself, the last dental dietary analysis. But no, you don't want to sit there. Go ahead.
So one of the things that Brianna, right,
Yeah.
just said, when you're doing this, and I know you've had this in nutrition, but you haven't had it in the clinic. One of the
I keep
things
grabbing the
that we
microphone
do is that
because it's right here. He goes, you have nowhere to put it. I said,
and
I always
sit
address it.
arm to arm with you at the counter. You're not talking to the patient in the dental chair. You're going to ask them to come to the counter with you and fill out and have a conversation like this. Takes the power away from the situation so that there can be an open communication, so they can be honest with you about what they're eating, what they recall. So we don't really want you, if we're going by and you're telling me, oh, I'm going to do a dietary analysis with my patient now, that paperwork should be on the counter with you sitting shoulder to shoulder to that patient. Okay? That was brought up.
Meaning you're not standing above them. Yeah, we went over that you don't overpower the patient. You're trying to make them comfortable so that you're equal. And they're motivated and they want to listen to you. And that's all part of the motivation, that you're not higher than them, that you're not standing above them. And if you're going to be shoulder to shoulder, maybe you have two chairs, you can both be sitting, that's fine, but you have to be equal to them. And we talked about that. It makes them more comfortable. And then they're more apt to share more of the truth with you than, say they drink 1 can of soda when they really drink 5 or 10. Your goal is to make them comfortable with you, and we hold no judgment. Remember I had said if they say 5 cans, you're not like, oh, okay, and your eyes and your body language, we talked about body language, that you're just like, oh, okay, and you just write it down. We're not holding judgment, we're trying to help them. You're the educator. So go ahead and do your form there. Remember, it's tricky because there are some things that are not circled in red that you may think are fermentable carbohydrates, and technically they are, like the breads, the bagels. But in your mouth, they would have to be there for an extremely long period of time to cause this problem of caries in your mouth. So there's usually a lot of other things we're talking about directly sugar related, and that's why you have that cheat sheet form. And it does say on the back, remember on the top, some tricky foods not to circle. You usually will not bump into a patient that's not eating any sugars and just having bagels all day and have a ton of caries in their mouth. Not saying you won't, but it usually doesn't happen like that. Please put your asterisks too. That's always something easy to forget, even when you're with the patient. So just don't forget the asterisks, because that adds to it. Those are acidic. Oh, you have mine. That's right. That's where I put the note. I wanted to say this. I've never touched it because that's how Catherine Riley had kept it, but it doesn't make sense if it's greater than 15 or less than 15. What about 15? So it should be greater than or equal to 15, which is how it's worded in there. Acceptable is 15, but it doesn't. I know it sounds little, but I just want it to be exact. So, thank you. So you copied mine, so it's on everybody's. So all of them have. Okay, we're going to review it just because we want to make sure we have enough time for all of your other parts of your orientation. So in red, we'll give you a chance to speak up because I know a lot of you probably want to speak up right now, right, after you've been off all summer. So, and I know a lot of you may have looked this over. Did you know you were getting the dental dietary analysis review first thing in the morning? Yeah? Oh, so you were super excited. That's good. And you probably studied it and got ready for it. So red, let me go over the first day. What do we have circled in red? Jam. What else? Uh-huh. Okay. Good. I was wondering if you were going to say that. What else? The rose wine and what else? Right, the ice cream. And what else should you have circled? We don't know if it was sweetened or unsweetened. I just left it on there. Right. Very good. Spot on. So you have to wonder about, go ahead.
What about the orange juice?
That's something you would not circle.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that a conversation with the patient? You know, is there a lot of sugar in this orange juice?
Because it's acidic, you would still have that conversation with the patient. But you don't want to relate the fruits to them having a problem with the sugar. So we would just, what will we do to the orange juice? Would it be circled in? Right, it would just get an asterisk. What else gets an asterisk? Lemonade and the wine. And then blue? Sometimes this is tricky. Would we circle the strawberries in blue? Nope, it's a softer fruit, right? So it's not going to stimulate the saliva. It's the harder, crunchier fruits like apples, pears, things like that, not watermelon, grapes, things like that. What else would be circled in blue? Chicken breast, okay. Lettuce. What about the fresh salad? Remember we circled the salad because it's crunchy, you're eating a whole part of it. If it has what in it? If it's like chicken salad or macaroni salad, then it wouldn't be circled. And that's all right on your sheet. I believe it says it right in there. It lists the fresh fruits. Do you see it on the back side if you flip over your guide? Right on the top, what's circled in blue? It specifically lays it out there. The fresh fruits that are, and then the examples that aren't. Remember, we can't give you everything, but these are examples for you to refer to. And then if you look upward where it says salads, Salads that are vegetable-based. So you would circle the salads in blue because they stimulate the saliva, which will help the patient. So remember, if you're with the patient and you're only circling like 3 things in blue with the patient, then you know where your recommendations will come from, what you can recommend to them to help that patient stimulate the saliva, which may be why they have a problem with the caries. Okay, so very good. You guys done that. You can keep that just as a extra thing to refer to. And just remember one other thing with the yellow book. I just always want to tell you guys, because the patients don't always think of it, and sometimes we forget to tell them. But what they drink is important too. A lot of times we're just into the foods and the amounts of foods and how you cook the foods, but you have to refer to the drinks, okay? We want to know if they're drinking and what they're drinking. Everybody has to drink to live. We talked about this. And it depends on what they're drinking. So if they're drinking coffee, you need to explain to them, what are you adding to the coffee? You still need to write it on there, okay? If they're adding milk, then do we circle it in red? No. But if they add sugar, then you would circle it in red. So it depends what they're putting in there as to how it should be circled. What they need to definitely put on there, and a lot of us drink this, is water, but they need to put it on there that they drank water. I put it on the menu there, but you have to make sure they put water into everything. And then it falls under a snack, and depending on their snack, if it's 20 minutes before or after a meal. Go ahead.
I know the tuna fish sandwich you don't circle in blue, but do you circle the lettuce on the sandwich in blue?
Yep. Go ahead.
That was my question for the salad. Like, you want us to circle every individual ingredient that was in the fresh salad, or do we just circle fresh salad since it's vegetable based?
I listed everything because that's how you want the patient to do it.
And so you want us to circle?
But you would just circle fresh salad. We see what's in it next to it in parentheses, but that's how you want your patient. I filled it out how you want your patient filling it out. Because remember, a lot of you would just put salad on your yellow book, and I had to mark it and give it back to you that we need to know the ingredients that were in your salad. What type of salad it was, if it was crunchy, and what you added to it that would be karyostatic, and that it wasn't like tuna salad or something like that. If you just write salad, we don't know. So that's what you want to explain to your patient. You want them to really fill it out like that.
So this is an interesting point, because we want you to have your patient fill it out as detailed as possible, like restaurant. When your faculty is grading it, and it's just the 4 or 5 faculty that are grading it, they're gonna look and see, did you put an asterisk by coffee, because that's now your acidic drink, and circle sugar, and not the milk. What if it's coffee with milk and sugar? How do I know that you know what has differentiated this from a cariogenic to a non-cariogenic snack? So I am looking for you to circle sugar and not just the coffee. Does that make sense to you? So yes, you want them to put everything down, but just assume, like if you saw this in an oscillate, I gotta make sure that you knew that the sugar, not the milk, was the problem. And if you were able to communicate that with the patient. So as a grader, we want you to really circle everything that pertains to the question. Good? This is why this is so valuable that we're all here.
Oh, you're stating that you want everything, the whole
As a
chunk,
grade-
like the whole
As the
thing just
faculty
circled in blue.
grading this,
Mhm.
if they circle coffee with milk and sugar, I don't know that they know that it's the milk that's not a problem. but it's
Oh, you're referring to
Yeah.
something different. I
Yeah,
thought you were
yeah,
referring to
no,
that. Okay, got it. Yep.
just going different directions.
Okay. So I just want to note one more thing before I'm done. The fibrous foods, do you see on there I put the little line that originally wasn't on there? Because it originally said greater than 15 for 5 days is acceptable and less than 15 for 5 days is unacceptable. Well, what about the 15? So I want it to state, and I put it on there, the copy you have right now is accurate. Greater than or equal to 15 is acceptable. And that's what's written up here. So when you see this sheet and you're filling it out, it's right here for you. But acceptable is at least 15. So that's why it's greater than or equal to, which will be different from the sheet you received in the spring. So just put that little line under it so it's accurate. And that's it. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah, so tomatoes are fresh vegetable, but since it's not crunchy, we wouldn't circle it.
Because it's soft. But remember, it's a slice. So yes, it's soft. If somebody put down, they're biting on a whole tomato, we would still put that because remember the skin's thick and they're biting into it. But it all depends how you slice it. Like the deli meats, if there's, and it says it all on there, but if it's a thick amount of deli meat, yes, then we would count it. But if it's a few slices, it doesn't count because it's not going to be karyostatic. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Does this have to be a random patient, or could we do it like this for our parents or husband?
I think Ms.
Yeah.
Levy can.
So you can do this on any clinic patient. It shouldn't be your husband, because, I don't remember her husband. Somebody remember that in the back, faculty?
Thought it couldn't be somebody you were in the same
I guess
house
it just
with.
can't be your own child,
Oh, it's
because
not.
you're preparing all the meals
In the
in their
household.
kids. But if they're in the household, like your husband, he is going out and eating on his own and making choices on his own. So the answer is yes, it could be your husband